Hi folks, today I'm going to show you how to change the oil on a 1988 through 1999 Chevy 350, whether it's in a pickup, Suburban, Tahoe. If it's a 350, even if it's a Vortec, it takes the same filter. You can run whatever oil you want in it. I run Chevron 530 in the winter time, and I run the 1030 Chevron in the summertime. It's just something I've always done. No big deal either way. You should get a little bit better gas mileage with the 530 being the slicker weight, but that's completely up to you. I'm going to start off with an old shirt as a grease rag. It takes about 4.5 quarts, so I just put 5 quarts out there. PF52E on the AC Delco. I like AC Delco filters better. This is my preference. 14 millimeter end wrench, oil filter wrench, and my this is a 5-gallon pan. You want to make sure your pan's big enough to catch all the fluid, and you want to make sure you have a good, I like a good wide opening on the pan so it catches the oil from the pan and the oil from the filter at the same time. That way you can do it both at the same time. And a pair of rubber gloves. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is place our pan underneath our drain plug. Locate the drain plug right there on the bottom of the pan. Another good idea too, what I always do if it's cold, like it is here in the Rocky Mountains, drive it for a couple minutes, take it around the block, get it nice and warm. You don't got to get it extremely hot. You don't want to get it extremely hot because when you climb underneath here, you're going to burn your fingers and everything else on this exhaust pipe. But just get it warm, get the oil nice and warm because it flows so much easier if it's warm. So we're going to take our 14 millimeter end wrench and undo our bolt here, and then let the oil come out. Okay, our next step is the oil filter up here. You see I've got the wrench around that oil filter. I just use that to loosen it up, and then it should be able just to get it with your hands. As soon as I loosen that up, bring the filter out of the way. It's still draining, but then I'll come up here with my hand and just unscrew the filter. Now when you get ready to, make sure your pan is located right above that drive shaft. Oh, there just went my oil plug into all the oil. Oh well. So it's going to drain on the 4-wheel drives anyway. On the 2-wheel drives, you obviously are not going to have that drive line up there. See how it's draining right over that U-joint right there? It's going to drain right over the top of that. It kind of makes a mess. So just unscrew it a few turns. Don't do it all the way, let it drain. Let it drain like that for a few minutes until it's about done, and then go ahead and take it off. That way you don't get your arm completely covered in oil while you're unscrewing that. Okay, I took my old filter off. This is my new filter. What I like to do is just take the new filter, put it right on top of the old filter like this. So there's those gaskets are kissing each other there. Bring it off. And then you got a perfectly good oil seal, oil ring, around that new seal. You're going to want to coat that with oil. I just use the old oil. You can use new oil, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you have a good little coating around that rubber seal where it mates up to the housing gasket there, the filter housing gasket, or the filter housing. So I'm going to go ahead and put this new one back up in. Screw it back on, get it as tight as you can on with your hand, and then tighten it about half a turn, 3/4 turn, maybe with the wrench. I don't like to put them on there super tight. And then I got to find my drain pan plug in this all this oil here. One more thing, folks, before you put the drain plug back in, this is something I like to do. It's not required, but it's just kind of something I like to do, is take about a quarter to a half a quart, and now, like I said, the drain plug has to be out, and I like to run it through the motor of fresh oil. About maybe a quarter of a quart is all you need, and all that does is chase that old oil, whatever's, you know, from the top all the way to the bottom. It just kind of chases out what's a little bit of residual. You can hear it kind of draining down there now. And any kind of sludge or anything you got at the bottom of your oil pan, it just kind of washes it through. If you're using synthetic oil, I don't know if I'd recommend it because it's so damn expensive, but it's just kind of something I like to do. Okay, here's some of that fresh oil that just came running through the motor, and it is bringing a little bit of the old oil with it, so that's good. It's nice and clean. So I'm going to go ahead and put my plug back in. I got it out of the oil pan. I'm going to seal that up. There again, these oil, I'm not sure what the torque recommendation is, but you don't need to go crazy on them. They don't need to be in there that tight, and then if you do run them in there that tight, you risk stripping the bolt, or not the bolt, but you risk, you know, stripping the threads, and then you got a big headache. So I just make it a little bit snug, and that's it. Now we're ready for all the fresh oil. There's our new filter right there. I'm gonna wipe off the excess oil on this U-joint here, and wipe all the excess oil off the bottom of the pan, and we're good to put in our fresh oil. Okay, now it's time to add about 5 quarts of oil to the engine here, right up on top where the oil goes into the motor, right here on top of the valve covers there. So that's all. You just put the oil in and put the cap back on, and that's it, folks. Thanks for watching.